everyone, and welcome to what is pretty much my first proper Create Sim video. And I just wanted to start making these kinds of videos because I want to do something that was a little bit different for myself at least, and I do enjoy making Sims and coming up with backstories for them, so I wanted to do that more often than when I'm starting a new Let's Play series, which really isn't that often. And I did talk about this in a recent speed build, and I was just surprised by the amount of support I received for that, and by how many of you wanted to see me try making Creative Sim videos. And also in the comments of that video, Swiftly Simmer and Techie74 suggested that I make Creative Sim videos to go with my builds, which I thought was a really good idea, and I did something kind of like that in the past, but I just think it'll work really well, and it'll kind of help with adding more creativity to both creating the Sims and their houses, because where you live shapes you a little bit, and then of course who lives in a house really shapes it. So I think it'll help me to make builds a little bit more personalized and detailed, and then thinking about where Sims would live as I make them, I think will add a little bit more detail to their story. So I think they'll just work together in this really nice way, and I just kind of like the idea of uploading them as pairs. And then if you want to use my Sims that I make, you have a house that you can download and play with them in, or like if you don't want to play with them, you just want to stick them in your game to have your Sims meet, then you have a house that's personalized to them that you can just stick in your game, and then when your Sims visit them, you know, they'll have this house that really feels personalized to them, because I always find that to be something that makes me feel a little bit more immersed in the game when I feel like I'm either playing in a build that's really suited to the Sims, or when I visit them and then they're living in a place that feels like it's really suited to them. So I'm just really excited about that idea, and that is what I'm doing with these Sims. So obviously right now I'm making them, and then in a couple of days on Sunday I'll be uploading an apartment build that I made for them, which you did see a sneak peek of in the intro, and that's something else I want to do with these Creative Sims. Like, I just wanted to create this little intro in the beginning of them just to give you a glimpse into their story. So yeah, getting on to the actual Sims, the household I'm making here is the McFadden / Winslow household, and they are actually a recreation of a current household that I talked about making probably about a year ago. It was around when Parenthood came out, and I played with them for a little bit, like the original version of them, and then I just didn't have enough time, and I guess I kind of lost interest, so I stopped playing with them. But I really like the background story that I gave these Sims, so I just wanted to recreate them and share that story with you. So their story isn't really a happy one. So here I'm creating Madison McFadden, and she's a young adult, like she's in her early 20s, she's pretty young, and after her sister and brother-in-law unexpectedly passed away, she is now responsible for raising their nieces, or not their nieces, but she's responsible for raising her nieces. And that's because she's really the only family that's around to raise them, because her sister is her only sibling, and then both of her parents unfortunately passed in recent years, and that was more so due to health conditions you get as you get older, because her parents were a lot older. Like, they were fairly old, or not, you know, fairly old, but they're kind of getting close to their 50s when they had her, because she's more of an unexpected later in life child, because she's actually a lot younger than her sister. Like, her sister is around 20 years older than her, so she was never really particularly close to her sister, because by the time she was born, her sister was off at college and out of the house, so she didn't really feel like a sister. She felt more like a cousin or an aunt or some kind of relative that you see on occasion at family events. Like, she would just see her when she came home for the holidays and to visit and that kind of a deal, but she still was really close to her nieces and really loved them, and you know, was really the only person there that was able to take them in after this happened. So she just stepped up and said that they could stay with her and that she would raise them. And it's been really tough, and just the whole ordeal has been really tough, because her sister and her brother-in-law's death was of course unexpected. They were involved in a car accident late at night as they're leaving the restaurant that they own. So it's just a really tough situation, because she's grieving the loss of her sister, and then she's trying to raise her two nieces who are also grieving the loss of their parent, and they're just kind of difficult in their own ways. And then also her living situation, while she has a space, isn't exactly ideal to be raising the two, because she does live in a fairly small 2-bedroom apartment, which was perfect for her. Like, this was her first place that she got on her own after she, you know, got out of school and started her career. And it was perfect for her because, you know, she had one room that was her bedroom, and then another smaller room that was her office. But then now she has this teen and this toddler, because one of her nieces is a teenager and one of them is a toddler. But anyway, they're living with her, so she ended up giving them the bigger bedroom, and then she crammed all of her stuff into the smaller bedroom. She figured that would work a little bit better than trying to cram them into the smaller bedroom, because of course their stuff wouldn't even fit. So there's just a lot going on. As you can see, her traits are good, family-oriented, and unflirty. And, oh, also, she is a cop, so that kind of goes with her being good. Like, she just really wanted to help people and do good and all of that. Like, she's just a very optimistic and positive person, maybe a tad naive, and then she also is, of course, unflirty. Like, she never really has had much of a desire to get into a romantic relationship. Like, that's not something that has really ever appealed to her much. But she is family-oriented, so she always wanted kids. Like, she always figured she would someday adopt and maybe raise a child as a single parent. You know, she figured she'd adopt someday, but never thought it would be this kind of scenario. Like, no one ever wants it to be this type of a scenario. But also about the cop thing, I think part of why I lost interest in this household a while ago is because there were some glitches going on with the cop crew. Like, whenever I go out to try to find a suspect, I could never find them. And I think that was a glitch that was going on. I'm not sure if that's fixed or not. So if that is an ongoing issue, you may want to change your career to being a doctor. Like, I actually thought about doing that, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I kind of like the idea of her being a cop. But I think her being a doctor would also work. Like, if I were to ever play this household again, I would probably switch her to the doctor career just so I don't have to deal with that. And I really like this story, so I probably will put it in my back pocket for possibly a future Let's Play, like if there's ever like an expansion pack that I feel like their storyline would work well for, just if I ever get a time where I want to start a Let's Play, then, you know, this is just something I want to keep in my back pocket for the future potentially, although that probably wouldn't happen for a while if it ever does happen. But I just really like this household so much, and I'm really excited to see if like maybe any of you happen to do anything with them, because if any of you do play with these Sims, I would love to see pictures. Like, you can send me pictures on Twitter if you want or whatever. I just love to see what you all end up potentially doing with these Sims. But we are on to making Robin now, who is the teenager, her teenage niece that she's raising. And Robin is a handful. She's kind of your stereotypical rebellious teenager who wants to break all the rules and stay out late and be defiant. So she's just having a really hard time dealing with it. And the fact that she feels like she doesn't really have much authority over Robin doesn't really help a lot, because really she's not that much older than Robin is, because Robin's 16, Madison is, 22, 23, so she's really only like 6 or 7 years older than Robin, which, it's a good bit older, but it doesn't feel like quite enough to really feel like an authority figure. Like, Robin doesn't quite take Madison seriously when she tries to lecture about stuff and ends up kind of like walking all over, sees her as like more of a friend, because, since they were a little bit closer in age, they hung out a lot in a more like friend kind of a manner when they were younger. Like Madison was her cool aunt, not someone who would yell at her for doing things and get after her and all of that. So she's just kind of finding it hard to switch that role in that way and to get Robin to take her seriously and come home before curfew and all of that. So that's something that she's just finding really challenging with her. So I was trying to show that a bit in the intro with having Madison just sitting there waiting for Robin to come on home, and then Robin not looking too concerned when she walked in to see Madison just sitting there, and then the two of them arguing, so that's just a lot of what's going on. And this household is also just really challenging to play with. Like, when I was playing with like last year, I came pretty close to pulling my hair out multiple times, because it's just hard, because Rachel, who's a toddler, has a clingy trait, so she always wants to be around someone. She doesn't like being left alone. She doesn't really like being left with new people too much, so she just always wants to be around them. She'll like wake up in the middle of the night upset because no one's near, will go and wake up everyone. So then, of course, when she wakes up Robin. So there's just a lot of not getting sleep, and it just kind of compounds. Because I just remember these Sims like pretty much running on fumes. Like, they would go to school and work with hardly any sleep, and like I would be trying to play the cop career with Madison, and she was trying to take naps throughout the day, and then she'd come home, and then Rachel would go back to being, kind of difficult, so she would go through another night of getting hardly any sleep, which I guess is kind of realistic. So it's just a challenging household to play with, but I think it could be rewarding if you can kind of get them past the point of struggling and get them into a nicer house, get to a point where Rachel is no longer a toddler anymore. So I think that could be fun in a way and kind of redeeming. But even though Robin likes to pretend that she doesn't care, she always did admire her parents' restaurant business and really always thought it'd be nice to someday carry that on. Like, she kind of hides how much she enjoys cooking and wants to carry that on, but she really does love it, so I do end up giving her the food-related aspiration. I gave her the foodie trait, and then I also gave her the kleptomaniac trait. I thought that'd be kind of interesting with her aunt being a cop, like just kind of having them at odds with each other in that way, because I kind of see her as not necessarily being like a kleptomaniac where she takes things without being aware of it, but that she consciously takes things, so I could figure you could have some interesting storylines with that. And then now we're on to Rachel, who is the youngest of the bunch, and as I said before, she is clingy, and I think in the situation, like, she doesn't quite understand what's going on. Like, she's very young, she may not understand why she's no longer seeing her parents and, you know, is now living with her aunt. So that just makes things even more difficult with her. And when I was making these Sims, I was trying to not go too overboard with using custom content, so I was just using a few things here and there, just so if you want to download these Sims, you don't have to download a whole bunch of custom content to be able to have everything show up. So I will try to put links down in the description to as much of the custom content as I can. I think most of the stuff I found pretty recently, but some of it is stuff that I got a couple years ago, so I'm not sure if I still have the links or not, or if you can even still download it, because some things, like some Tumblrs that I got stuff off of in the past, aren't around anymore. But I'll try to do what I can and link to as much of it as possible, so you know, you'll have whatever custom content you need for these Sims. But yeah, we are almost done with making Rachel. And the last thing is that I did make a cat for them because for whatever reason, I just envisioned Madison having had this cat, you know, prior to all this happening. Like, I just thought it'd be really cute if she had a cat in her apartment with her. So when I make her apartment, I did add a whole bunch of cat related things to it. And for once, I actually did a little bit of code editing, because other than when I recreated my cats, when I made pets in this game, I've just kind of like clicked on a breed, gone with whatever code they had initially, and just left it at that. But with this cat, her name is Rosemary, I just felt like she needed a few more markings, like, so I just, you know, lightened her fur up in a few spots. Like, it's not really much, but it's just a little bit of extra detail. But yeah, this is almost it for the creation of these Sims. So yeah, they will be on the gallery. Unfortunately, I can't get a link because I have custom content in them. So you'll just have to make sure to have the box on somewhere on the left side towards the bottom. Check that shows that makes it'll show custom content. But anyway, that's gonna be all for me. So I hope you'll enjoy this video. Thanks for watching, and bye.